Thank you, sir. And now I will invite the next speaker, who is Shri Patranjan Bhattacharya, Strategic Business Development, Secure Meters Limited. He will share his insights on expectations from metering, regulatory alignment, and guidance. So, Mr. Bhattacharya has over 20 years of experience in energy and utility sector and is an expert in smart metering and demand response technologies. So I will request Patranjan sir to share his presentation and start his talk.
Yeah, very good afternoon, good evening to everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, BIS, for giving us this opportunity to air our views and probably share slight different perspectives and what is going on in the field of metering exactly, rather domestic metering. Just before my presentation, Mr. BM Vyas actually partially stole my thunder. I wanted to capture and talk about a few things which he has already touched upon. But I'm not directly getting into the nitty-gritty of the standards. I'll touch upon a slightly different aspect, which should be or directly or maybe indirectly addressed in the regulations, either regulations or the standards. So basically, when we look at a CGD and a consumer, what exactly is a CGD looking for in terms of its day-to-day operations, and what exactly is the consumer looking for? Uh, the CGD on the left-hand side, there are all these things are directly or indirectly related to cost. So you might see a similar thing repeating, a few points repeating in subsequent slides. My presentation is not very long. But yes, you might just see certain things repeating. Operational efficiency, low cost to serve, robust and reliable solution. That is what CGD is basically looking at from purely from a business perspective. Consumer, he needs to be kept informed. He needs a hassle-free usage, and he wants a convenience whenever he is using gas. So basically, if I go into the CGD perspective, uh, there are various things that add uh, to the operational performance. What are the expectations? Expectations are costs, reading cost should be minimum. There should not be error-free meter reading should be there. Bill reduction cost, bill distribution cost should be very low. 100% collection efficiency, no bad debt, minimum billing cycle. Now, basically, what do these lead to, and what are the supports in the system that are required, or rather, a regulatory support that are required? The things that I've put in green are partially addressed by the regulations as on date. Meter should be able to calculate the cost of gas use. Data should be sent to backend. Now, a couple of years back, when PNGRB came out with a regulation, with an update on the gas metering regulation, so these points were added. Advanced collection and old dues recovery, of course, they added a prepayment mode. Support of auto disconnection, they added a valve into the meter, which is basically supported in the new regulation now. So at the same time, the operational efficiency does improve if the consumer is also continuously updated on his consumption. It should not happen that suddenly he gets a shock on a later date. Now, next again, low cost to serve. Here the expectations of the CGD is lifetime cost against L1 cost. Typically, buying practices are on L1, but the thing is, how long that meter is going to be there in circuit, what is its reliability, etc., needs to be taken into focus, needs to be taken into consideration, and its lifetime needs to be calculated. What is going to be my manpower cost? If I put an asset on the wall, what is going to be my manpower cost? What are going to be my IT infra that I need to put? And am I adding non-value works for which I am putting a lot of people for doing those non-value added jobs? Now, again, one of the good things that the PNGRB regulation has done is like what they have added is the prepaid function to the meter. But thing is, what probably more needs to be done is elimination of certain IT modules. Now, prepaid is something which you pay in advance. You really don't require a bill for that. You get whatever maybe 100 rupees you have paid, you get a receipt for 100 rupees. You don't need to wait for the bill for that. So that is something which can probably be taken care into the regulation. That is the reason I put it in red. Now, the meter should have that self-sufficiency, as Vyasa was also saying, going towards digitization and intelligence into the meter. So the meter should have that intelligence to calculate based on it should be able to support various tariffs and other things. And of course, long warranty period, because I am relating it with the lifetime cost of the product against L1 cost. And the actual manpower, which are probably being utilized for certain other purposes like metering, like billing, collection, bill distribution, etc., etc. They can actually be deployed for more useful work like network growth and maintenance. So that's where CGs really can probably focus on as on date. And of course, you need to have uh, pretty low recurring communication costs. Now, again, I'm not getting too much into this. One of the things Vyasa touched upon, which is being which is being added in the updated standard, is the AFD type 1, 2, and 3. Ideally, it would this ideally what happens is you need to look at uh, the robustness or reliability of the whole package, not just the product. When you're talking of package, maybe if you are going for communicating device, then the AFD plus the meter becomes your package, and then whatever is the software behind it, that becomes also a part of the package. So the thing is, robust, ideally, if it is an integrated product, meter, module, communication, etc., etc., whatever are the parts of the thing, that creates more robustness because that is inside a single box. There is no external communication, no external retrofit devices. So that gives a more robust solution that way. That's a suggestion because although the standard supports everything, but this is something which can be thought of. Of course, the design life should be long, and at the same time, the meter should be ready for upcoming needs. Part one of the thing is the product should perform as per its dharma. Product जो धर्म है वो है it should be able to measure continuously and properly non-stop without any intervention and correctly over its lifetime. That is the dharma of the product. It should be able to do it over its design life. Design life कुछ भी हो सकता है, 5 साल 10 साल 15 साल जो भी हो सकता है, and there should be इसकी एक वारंटी पीरियड होगी. So that warranty period is something which is given by the manufacturers. But at the same time, you also need to be sure, is my product going to be ready for future or upcoming needs? For example, today we hear, rather here, nahi, matlab this is something which is probably going to come up in the next few years, which is hydrogen blending. Number one. Next, CBG addition into the PNG network. So one needs to think, is my present product or measurement that I'm doing, is that future ready? Is it going to be able to support all those new additions that are going to come? Government has already said, MOPNG has already said, PNGRB has also come up with regulations for them. But the thing is, at the same time, the CGDs need to think, the measurement product that I am putting on the wall as on date, is it going to be ready for the future, ready for the next 10 years? That's a question that needs to be probably asked. That's one part of the thing. And then I that was these three slides were basically on what is the expectation of the CGD. Now there are certain expectations from the product which is installed on his wall from the consumer side as well. The consumer should basically, if the consumer has to if he has a connect with something which is measuring how much money he has to pay, he will not get a jolt later on. Consumer doesn't understand SCM, but he understands what is money, what is rupees. And if he is able to get some kind of a continuous feedback, either from not getting into communication or that part of the thing, if there is a mechanism for the for the consumer, either directly from the meter or maybe some kind of a mobile device or maybe from the backend, if he is getting some kind of an update, so that is something which is going to help the consumer as well. Mandatory information, some kind of an alarm usage, maybe various kinds of payment options, various kinds of flexible recharges. So all these things are something which need to be supported. Ideally, these should be supported and looked forward by the CGDs for times to come tomorrow. There are certain things I would go into, and like as of now, primarily, of course, this is because the topic over here is domestic metering. So the technologies that are available as of now, if you just look at electricity meters are open to measurement technologies like CT, whether shunt or Hall effect sensors or air core transformers, etc., etc. So here also metering technologies in gas metering are also available, different types: diaphragm, ultrasonic, thermal mass flow, etc. The end objective should be low cost, long life, and future ready. All the products have all the different technologies have their advantages, disadvantages. I'm not getting into them. Diaphragm is a time tested, proven design. Ultrasonic is something which can be used over a long range and over high temperature. Thermal mass does not require any temperature or pressure compensation, or blending of hydrogen is possible. It supports that. So all these things may have their unique advantages. At the same time, the whole thing needs to be thought of. The advantages and disadvantages of different products, maybe different technologies, may be different. So all this needs to be factored in by the CGDs when taking a decision. Again, this is directly not related with the standards part, communication technology, but somewhere or the other, there are various technologies. One needs to take a decision on what is my lowest recurring cost, and it is suited to the need. It should not happen that you specify I need LoRaWAN, or I need NB-IoT, or I need near field communication. See, the thing is, you cannot randomly specify what communication should be there in the meter. It purely depends on the topography of the place. So basically find out the topology and then decide about it. And metering type, of course, there are postpaid is a normal credit meter is defined as part of the regulation. Here, this is where we get into the regulation. And this can be, there are certain things which can be thought of. Postpaid or credit meters were there. PNGRB has introduced smart prepaid, smart prepaid with communication. So that has been introduced. Can an in-between meter, maybe a prepaid without a communication, be introduced? That is a thing. That is something which can be thought of, or maybe even a credit meter with a valve. This will help facilitate certain processes like manual disconnection, manual temporary disconnection. These are certain things which can probably be thought of. And remote disconnection, maybe credit meter with a valve with remote disconnection, with a communication and remote disconnection, will basically serve the purpose of will cut down on certain costs where the CGD has actually to send the manpower. These are certain things which can be thought of, and maybe some of them can get into the regulation part, regulatory requirement. Overall, basically, when we take a decision on that, whichever CGD takes a decision on that, Their requirement should be lowest cost to serve, and whatever is something which is suited to their requirement for serving in the most cost effective manner, that is something they need to look at. I'm coming onto my last slide now. Now, one of the things that I would like to raise in this forum is uh, maybe there are multiple approvals are required in our system, at least in India. Uh, for example, if you just look at the European Union, what they require is just MID. United Kingdom, UK requires MIR, a single certification, basically single testing. Bangladesh, they require EN 1359 or OML R137. India, there are two things. One, you have to test as per standard, and then you have to go to weights and measures. Other requirements, other testings are similar in different countries, but here I would suggest that there could be some kind of a mechanism for single window clearance for approval of the product. What exactly it will do is it will help shorten the overall approval process and the cycle of approvals. Harmonization of standards and legal metrology requirements, maybe 1359 and the legal metrology requirement. This is something that would go that would be that would go a long way for serving this, and I think that could be the way forward. Maybe the of course the functions, consumer ministry, and all they can probably take a decision on that. This is just a suggestion from a manufacturer's perspective. Okay, thank you. I'm through with my presentation. That was short.
Thank you very much, sir, for